Ocoee, Florida is undergoing massive transformation. Long ago, this was once lauded as a sleepy suburban area to the west of Orlando, a place where people could run to the edge of town and get away from the hustle and bustle. That has long changed. Now, Ocoee has grown to nearly 50,000 people over the past 10 years, and all the planners in this particular area are making major shifts in how they're thinking about development, changing the building codes, changing the ways that they're thinking about the future of this area of West Orlando. Now in this video, I'm gonna outline 4 major developments, 4 major growth factors that you are gonna wanna see in this area if you live here now, or if you're considering buying here, as well as the marketplace is changing. And if you're watching anything in the news on the Orlando housing market, you're seeing a lot of things kind of clickbaity saying, hey, you know what? Top 5 list of marketplaces in America that are in serious trouble, markets that are gonna pop, crash, hit the wall in 2025. And recently I've seen Orlando making those lists, but we're gonna talk about what it looks like to live in Ocoee and how things are changing here, so you understand exactly what you need to know about the data, the housing market, and the growth here in 2025. And if you appreciate all that, smash the thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss another update on the Orlando housing market. Now, the first of 4 major developments, the Ocoee Village Center. Now, this is right off the east edge of the 429 off of Ocoee, Claricona. It is a 75-acre mixed-use community featuring over 500 new homes mixed with 80,000 square feet of retail. Now, this property is going to be anchored by a Walmart neighborhood store, but you've also got major brands planned for the area as well. Locations like Chipotle and AutoZone will be found here soon. Now, the next project is the Dynasty, a major plan near the intersection of East Fuller's Cross Road and Ocoee-Apopka Road. This is a game-changing 159-acre sports and entertainment complex. You're going to have 17 multi-use fields, an 1,100-room hotel, and over 500,000 planned square feet of retail and dining. Beyond the fact of the immensity and scope of this project visually, it's projected that this will bring 5,000 jobs to the area and over $500 million of annual revenue. Now, next to the south edge of Ocoee, we have a property between West Orange Cinema and the Turnpike off of McGuire Road. It's called the Regency. This is going to be a 17-acre plan, a modern mixed-use project. So you're going to have 300 apartments plus retail plus a public park, all sited here at the 50 West Redevelopment District. Again, you're starting to see the turn of things. You're starting to see Ocoee making more of an urban retail mix plan through all the new developments that are coming to the area. And finally, we have the Elon Crown Point. This is a luxury residential community near Ocoee High School that will bisect across the West Orange Bike Trail. All right, let's jump into the housing data. I'm going to take you through exactly what is happening, what you can expect, make some predictions here for 2025. Let's start off with supply. Now, all the data I'm going to show you today, where does it come from, Jared? That's going to show up in the comments. So let me tell you, this is a program called SunStats. It's only available if you're a licensed realtor in Florida. It is a direct back-end access to the Florida MLS, and they're providing data. We're pulling zip code level because fortunately for Ocoee, we have one major zip code. So it's very easy to analyze exactly what is happening. Now, all the charts I'm going to show you on the left are going to start way back in 2017, kind of cruise all the way to present day. The most recent month of data is what I'm showing you here. You're going to notice that there's always this big crash of the numbers in most cases, unless it's home price, and then it just shoots upward. In this particular area, this is the pandemic era. So obviously this is when we had multiple offers and just insane 2% interest rates for people getting 15-year mortgages and all kinds of things that really heated the market up. So I like to provide contrast to kind of go back to where things are before. But let's look at active inventory. Everything that you're reading about Florida and Orlando is no different. Supply is up. It is up, up, up. It is just ballooning out of control. And you can see here that Ocoee is up. It is actually up 25%. That's a little beneath if you were to index that against the rest of Florida and the rest of Orlando. Now understand this. Back in 2017, 2019, 2018, were there fewer houses or more houses back here? Obviously, the answer is population is bigger now. You cannot look at this chart and deny that there's been a 6-7 month run where for whatever reason, something is taking place. Usually it's either one of those 2 factors. So we're going to take a look at what that is. I do want to point out, look at the last 90-day trend. There has been a complete shift negative. So let's take a look and see, where is this steep climb coming from, and what can we expect going into the rest of this year? Hey, it's me interrupting myself. Are you looking to buy or sell? One call does it all, and you'll put 23 years of experience and nearly 4,000 satisfied home sales to work for you.
Jared Jones is the way to go. Call 706-5000.
Next, we have new listings. Look at the history of this market. Every single year, by the way, it starts low at the beginning of the year and it climbs to an arc and then plummets down the other side. So every year, every market across Central Florida, there's a seasonality where more homes climb to the market in the middle of the year and go back down again. Look at where the arcs were in the past when you're going 2017, 2018, 2019. Look where they are last 2 years. They're on the floor. They're record low 70 years. So essentially, why is this happening? Okay, well, we already know interest rates went from 3-4%. A lot of people that own homes in this particular area, they've got a 3% mortgage. Well, they got to really want to move to put the house back on the market in the face of possibly selling that house and adopting a 7% interest rate. But for whatever reason in 2024, it is changing because you can see very anemic 18 months or so right here from the end of 2022 going into last year. But now sellers are coming off the sidelines. This is not an uncommon reality. This isn't unique to Ocoee, but it is still historically nowhere near what they used to produce. And again, as I said, there's more homes to be in play, yet this level should be up here, okay? So you do not have the unsold inventory purely climbing because of this. Again, if you do look at the history, look at this past year, sellers are more open to selling than last year. Again, 23, pathetic history, very, very low number of sellers putting homes on the market. For whatever reason, there was a shock. They didn't go. They didn't list. But that has been broken somewhat. Look at this back in January. 52 homes on the market last year was 73% over this prior year. So we had a big increase on many of the past 12 months. Okay, so is that feeding into this unsold inventory chart I just showed you? 130 homes unsold. The number is climbing. There's a big peak of inventory. Part of it is definitely an increase in the amount of supply just coming from the seller side. But are buyers backing away? Are they keeping pace? Are they chilling out? Are they tired of these high interest rates? Do they find it so unaffordable that they're bailing? Let's check the data and see what happens on the demand side next. Now look at the new pendings. Buyers in 2024, you look at last year, look at the arc. It went up, buyers got more active in summer and not much happened and it went out. And by the way, look how low 23 is against all of history. 24 was a hair better, but not anywhere near where it should be. You would say, Jared, if there's more homes, and we used to run around this amount of pendings in history, 60 to 80 units for most of the year, even before the heat, the hype, the bubble of the pandemic, it was still in this range. Shouldn't we be up around this mark up here? Yeah, that's absolutely true. We're well underproducing on buyers, okay? Buyers are a bit locked out. Sellers are slowing down. One thing that I'll be remiss if I don't share with you is the fact, look at November's number here. Buyers contracted homes 63% higher than a year prior. Now, also worthy of note, look at the month prior, negative 7%. What happened in October? We had Hurricane Milton come through. We were also 1 month prior to an election cycle. That puts a little hesitancy in the market. Buyers will sometimes say, wait a second, let me see who gets elected in, and then we'll see what happens. And ultimately, what happened when elections cleared, dust finally settled, there were a lot of buyers in Ocoee the following month for that particular season. Okay, so season of November, it's a holiday month. A lot of snowbirds are arriving in Florida. Usually it's not the most banner month of all. So this was a big, big number for the month of November, which also likely means closings for December for this were going to be very high. So once we get the same following month, remember, it's a leading indicator. People were putting a lot of homes under contract. There was a lot of that discussion too. A lot of my home sellers were thinking, Jared, we got to get past the election. The election is going to be a big thing. And there's going to be buyers just waiting. This seems to think at least for a month. It'll be interesting to see if December bodes as well, breaking and smashing some pending records. But the feel is buyers are moving into the market all across Orlando. As the election goes behind us, there is a renewed confidence in people wanting to make that move. People that were in a rental situation feeling like enough's enough. I don't want to rent anymore. I can buy. Let's get this show on the road and get it underway. And that's been a move we've seen. It'll be interesting to see if that holds as we start here into 2025. One of the things everybody's watching for is the marketplace going to have a price collapse? Let's take a look at the price. I like looking at median sale price because it throws off the extreme ends of the market. When you look at average price, you're mixing in all the high end prices and the low end prices. If a marketplace has a couple of months where the luxury falls off and everybody's trading lower homes, average can get skewed. Median, not so much. But I want to show you an interesting thing that I'm seeing here. All of the months nearly are in positive territory, some of them in very steep positive territory. Last month, you had a 12% year over year. April, you were up 17%. As a whole, if you look at this graph, it's climbing even since the interest rates went through the roof. You'd say, Jared, was that a surprise? Yes, because if you look at the rest of Orlando, when interest rates hit the roof, when they went from 3% 30-year to 7% overnight, what you see happening through most of Orlando and Florida and at large is the market then started going straight sideways. So if you look at the chart on a map, you don't see growth. If you go back, look at this. Interest rates peaked back here in August 2022. The game was over with low 30-year fixed rate mortgages. So the marketplace hits a 450. That was the high at that time. There had never been a number prior. And look where we're at now, 510,000. Okay, so we're $60,000 higher than back when the interest rates started to surge. That is not a sideways movement, my friends. That's gained about 10% in value even since that period of time. Now, let's be realistic. Notice that markets have these like weird spike outs, but most of the activity is really kind of down here. Okay. So in reality, the market in this area is more like 470, 480. I do not think you're going to see the next month after this at 515, for instance. I think it's going to settle back down again. You know, the truth of these data bumps, the line, if you just cut the line down the middle, that's really where the market is. You know, the market just sees spikes and sees bottoms here and there, but the truth is down the middle. And again, that still means that even if we say, hey, you know what, the market's really around 480, 485, even if you toss the highs out and you kind of say, you know what, the truth is down here in the 480 range, maybe 485, which is a good way of explaining it. That's still like 7 to 8% higher than where it was 2 years ago. That is a nice move in price. The reason why I believe too, Ocoee is still strong in price, more so than the rest. It's outperforming in price most all the other areas, except maybe some premier luxury spots that people are just spending crazy money on. It's going up because of affordability. So it's a good property type. It's a good quality home in a lot of these areas. Desirable communities here, both established and new stuff. People also love the commuter friendliness of Ocoee. You have 3 major freeway systems in minutes from your home here. You have the Turnpike, the 429, and the 408. And that combined with a little bit higher level of affordability just keeps very good demand in this area. And it's not really, the inventory is not high enough. It's not high enough to actually cause softness. I'm going to make that case a little further on this next chart. Do not pay outdated models of commission. I've been warning you, don't do it. Things have changed. Call me today, save thousands. Make one call, that's all. List your home for just 3% and start packing. Now look at this. This is one of my favorite graphs to show the bare economics of any marketplace. This is called months of supply of inventory. It is the direct measure of velocity, the energy of any given market. The way you derive this is if you simply stop selling all homes. If you consider the fact that no homes are going to hit the market in the next month, 2 months, 3 months, what do we have on the market now? 127 homes. Based on how fast they've been turning over in Ocoee, how long would it take just to sell the static supply of unsold homes? Now, why this is important is because it tells you just how soft a market is. Now, you look at the right side of this graph. When it's climbing, that is good news for the buyer. Anytime you look at months of supply, when I'm looking at an investment in a given area or a zip code, if I see months of supply climbing off the chart, I get excited as a buyer. Now, if I'm a seller, I'm not so much excited because that means there's a lot more competition. It's a little bit more diluted. There's fewer maybe buyers for my home and maybe higher competition. So that's what this is saying. And when it's low, it means that sellers are going to sell their homes near instantaneously for multiple offers, bidding wars and all that. When it goes up, I have a shot as a buyer of getting in the window. Now, let's take a look at what we're seeing here. This high side of the graph, just like unsold inventory, if you remember earlier, our active inventory, for the last 90 days, look what it's done. It started to fall back down. Let me break down some things on this chart before we skip, because there is some crazy things happening, which really fought against what is going on in the rest of the marketplace. Notice this. When the interest rate spiked, the inventory contracted. And ultimately what happened, people were probably pulling houses off the market. They're like, oh my gosh, the interest rate's 7.2%. It was like 3% for a 30-year fixed only like 4 months ago. For whatever reason, sellers likely pulled back, but a lot of buyers went to Ocoee. And maybe too, people that were pre-qualified and they were looking in Winter Garden or they were looking in Windermere, they couldn't then get what they wanted at a price. Sometimes maybe you just move area. And I'm not putting Ocoee down by saying that, but I am saying it is also been a choice of affordability. And I know many of you look at the price in Ocoee, you're like, Jared, you just showed us a median price of $500. Like, why? What are you saying? I'm saying that you can get a quality mid-range house, beautiful established neighborhood. I think of places like Admiral Point. You know, they're beautiful homes, in my opinion, built well. I've seen inspections on homes there that they did well. And people want to live in them. And if you were to buy that home in Winter Garden, you're probably paying $150,000 to $200,000 more for the exact same house. And distance-wise, it's minutes away. But I also want to point out, look where this is now. So this last month, yes, look at it. Visually, you're like, man, this shot off the charts. Like, it shoots up for several months, comes back down, and goes back up again. Ultimately, what this is telling us, there's been more seller activity. Sellers are putting a little bit more homes in the market and buyers aren't absorbing them as fast. That is why buyers can expect a little more, and I say slightly more, negotiating power than in 2024. So in 25, there's going to be some competitiveness still. You got to understand, if you're looking at this chart and you're a buyer and you're like, Jared, look how high it is on the right. That's 3.2 months of supply. The rest of Orlando is running like 3.8, 4, 4.5. So many of the areas around this, I mean, this is by comparison, one of the tighter markets in this particular section of Orlando. It's also lower. It's indexing beneath how the rest of the economy is doing. So it's, you know, you're going to have more negotiation, which is good. And I will point out too, look, 3.2, 3.5, that's never been hit anywhere going back to 2017. Look, the highest period is October of 2017. There was 3 months of supply. Even pre-pandemic, it's been a tighter market. All that means is Ocoee feels less tight, less strong, less, you know, the marketplace is going to feel like if you're a seller, it might take longer to sell. Buyers are going to try and negotiate more. Pricing your home and making sure it is a good price, making sure the presentation of your home is attractive and better than your neighbor who might also be on the market, where in times past, you haven't had to worry about so much competition. But that's exactly what you're going to see unfolding. And it'll be interesting. If the pattern holds, Ocoee typically tightens up in a series of months. Look at this entire history. Climbs a bit, tightens up. Climbs a bit, tightens up. Climbs a bit. In all likelihood, you could see 3, 4, 5 months of tension where buyers, you may not have a better inroad to get in this market right now in the next maybe 45 days than you will, because the cycle shows it's going to swing more towards the seller favor, peaking somewhere in summer. And that's just how I see it right now. We'll have to see how it unfolds. If you're in the Central Florida area and you're looking for a great church, I'd love for you to join me at the Grove Bible Chapel. Just visit joinmeatthegrove.com for full details. When the housing market feels complicated, you need an expert by your side to make it simple and easy. Make one call, that's all, and put my 23 years of experience and nearly 4,000 homes sold to work for you.
Jared Jones is the way to go. Call 706-5000.